how does the tragic figure cause other people to suffer in Ghost and a Watchman?
So basically, I said Atticus is the tragic figure here because he allows Scout to like really see what actually is happening in Alabama at this time, and he causes her to like go berserk, sort of.
Interesting. How does she? What are kind of some of the things that she ends up doing?
She says that she starts to pack and is about to leave, and her aunt kind of gives her a goodbye. She goes and sees her sort of boyfriend Henry, and they're talking, and she comments on how hypocritical Atticus is being about being a bigot, and Atticus overhears and calls her a bigot because she's not seeing his point of view.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Somebody else want to comment on the character? Okay, go for it. Go ahead. Take that ball.
That just picks it up.
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, okay. So I read of Mice and Men, and I think James said it earlier, but I thought one of the tragic figures was Curly's wife, because towards the end of the book, when she was talking to Lenny before he killed her, she was talking about how her mother basically prevented her from like living the life that she wanted, like to go with like the people, and so she had just been living this life that she didn't really want, and she didn't even like her husband, and because of her like suffering and the life she went through, she just wanted to find somebody to talk to and just get attention, and she found that with Lenny, and that in the end caused her death because Lenny didn't know any better.
Awesome. Let me ask you a question, Henry. Why do you think John Steinbeck, the author, doesn't give her a name?
That's a good question. Maybe because putting a name to it makes it too personal. So.
Yeah. It makes it more tragic, probably, right? Let's go to Naomi for a second. Naomi, rightly so, you pointed out. Tell me about Crooks as a tragic figure.
I just thought Crooks was a tragic figure because this does take place in like the 30s during the Great Depression, so there's a lot of racial oppression towards the African American peoples, and then they made him also significant because he had, crooked back, like he couldn't stand upright, and the way he lived was kind of like cast out or just very discarded from society or from the other farm members. So I thought.
What activity did Crooks do that probably nobody in the ranch could do?
You
know what I'm talking about? Here. Hold this. Hold. Give me that, Naomi.
Read.
Yeah. How well read was Crooks?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Why did he have to spend his time reading?
To learn, because he wasn't getting education as he needed. And he was working, so that took up most of his time.
All right. Very good. Very good. Go for it.
I'd say that even George could have been a tragic figure because he kept giving Lenny and Candy the false hope of possibly being able to like run away and go to a farm, and then ultimately that dream was kind of crushed because it wasn't very possible at that time because it was the Great Depression, and even owning a house at all was very unlikely. And so going from their point where they were working the job and kind of living paycheck to paycheck, it was very unlikely that they would be able to get the house after that.
All right, let's look at that house, because they are going to get a house. Okay, did you remember that part? They're going to get the house towards the end? In other words,
Oh yeah, no, like I mean like the farm where they wanted to be raising the rabbits. And
the dream house.
Yes.
Okay. When they get a chance to get a house, do you remember that part towards the end? In the words, and somebody can jump in if you have to, that's okay. How were the people who owned the house tragic figures themselves. Did I catch that? In other words, go ahead. Nice catch.
Because during the Great Depression, it was like there wasn't a good way to like make a living. Like it was really hard to like sell crops and make money off like just living by yourself in a house. So just the characters from in the book. I forgot.
I think if I remember right. Go ahead. Go for it.
You?
So wasn't he trying to pay for a surgery or something,
That's
an
what it is.
operation?
That's what it is.
So, yeah.
And this is still true in 2019, that we're all kind of one major catastrophe from being homeless. One major surgery that we can't afford, and then boom, that's like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. If you don't have the insurance for that, where are you going to pay for who can afford $70,000 right now? What's that going to do to your family? All right, and so people get desperate and they'll sell their house on the cheap just to get some of that money. Sure, you'll get the $70,000, but your house was worth $300,000 or $250,000, and you sell it off to somebody for cheap, and somebody will take it for cheap because it's hard to find a house in this area. That's more and more the prices keep zooming, and so those problems are still with us. So very good. Okay.
So I kind of want to build off what you said about false hope. So even in the end, before George shoots Lenny, he starts telling him the story that was told towards the beginning, like the dream house with the farm. So like at the very end, he was still giving him the idea of that this was kind of possible right before he shoots him. When they even Lenny said it, there was many caves in the mountains that they could have gone to escape the mob trying to kill them, or they could have just kept going farm to farm. But he told him the story right before he shoots him.
So I want to build off how Lenny is the tragic figure. It's probably because also he was born with a mental disability, and anyone born with a mental disability can't really control that. And he's sort of like a glass of water. If you hold it in the beginning, it's not too bad, but you hold on for it longer, your arm starts to ache. So
Oh, very good.
yeah, that's how he acts throughout the whole story. They had to move from weed because of him, and then they had to run from a mob, which ended up getting him killed.
Wow, very good.
I was gonna talk for number 3, but can I do that?
Yeah.
For number 3?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, we can jump in.
Alright, so you want me to read the question first?
Yeah, go for it.
The question was, what overall message do the tragic figures convey in their story, and what overall meaning does the reader learn from the tragic figure? So, when how they were talking about how George had to shoot Lenny, I think one of the messages was that sometimes in life you gotta make difficult choices, like how George had to shoot Lenny, but they were really close and they knew each other pretty much their whole life.
Like how the people did that surgery, so they sold the house too.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Alright, so I'm gonna read my answer for number 3. I said that the overall message is that people have to make tough decisions in their life and sacrifices for the better of themselves, and that I said that the reader learns from the tragic figures, well, mainly because I read of Mice and Men, is that Lenny, he was born like that. He was born with the disadvantage, and he was kind of set up to have bad decisions, because when he made all those bad decisions, he didn't do it necessarily on purpose. Is that it's just that the mental disability just caused him not to have the right common sense in life. So that was why he made them poor decisions.
Let me throw a question at you, and you don't have to answer it because somebody else can do it, because you may not have that answer. But do you know anybody, any friends or any family that have to deal with, say, a severely autistic kid in the class, in the home, what that might be like, the sacrifices. You want, all right.
Yeah.
Go
So my grandmother, she's been taking care of like her granddaughter's autistic kid, and it's like a lot because they have a lot of energy, and then they want to. I've heard stories of like the kid, he'll like bite himself till he bleeds to get attention, and it's a lot of energy to take care of him, and he's only like 3. So like raising a kid like that, it's a lot of energy and a lot of work to just stay patient and keep calm, and just having to like understand that like they're not like a normal kid, and you have to treat them differently but the same at the same time.
How, let me ask, does your grandmother have a lot of energy?
Kind of. She has to take care of a lot of kids because my family's like, they keep getting into trouble, but for her age, I would say she has a good amount of energy, but she's like getting older and she's kind of running out of energy. It's getting harder for her to take care of all those kids.
So you could see what the energy it takes to take care of somebody like Lenny.
Yeah, it has to take a lot of like dedication and just having to look past like the big moments or like little moments that like where Lenny messes up and stuff. It takes a lot of energy to like, and dedication to that person to just say it's okay and move on.
Very good. Yeah, we got some more. I'll go.
I like to add on to what he said,
Yeah.
and like how also how Crooks, like how he is kind of set up to fail, because like he can't help that he's African American, and he's kind of in a time where they're like an oppressed race, and they don't have as many opportunities in life as the other people. So
Yeah.
that's what I have.
Oh, very good.
I would like to build on what DJ said about the theme at the very end about giving up for like the greater good, and how it's presented like throughout the story with the dogs, like the puppies, and giving up half of the litter in order to keep the rest of them like well off, and also with the Candy's dog, and then to take him out because it wasn't like he was suffering, and to put him out of his misery like they did with Lenny, because Lenny was suffering and he was gonna get like hurt by the other farmhands.
Very good. All right.
Not mention much in the story on Clara, because like she had to, in the beginning of the story, it explains like how Lenny would do anything anybody would ask him to do, and so she had to like always be watching him and make sure he wasn't doing like stupid stuff, cause she was probably an old lady and stuff, and she had to take care. George was like his best friend, and also tried to protect him, but he couldn't do much at the time because they were still young.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, very good.